I'd like to welcome everybody to the Nevada Community School District's Board of Education meeting for June 2nd, 2025. And I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I would seek approval of the agenda, and seeing no additions.
I move to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as placed before us tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment? Tammy?
None.
Unbeaten. And we have no information tonight, so we are going to step right into our action agenda. And 5.1 is for our fuel bids. It's doing some of our in-house or housekeeping here to start for the school year. Anybody want to throw out on that one? That's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, we did get 5 bidders this year, which is good, more than normal. And we're recommending the low bid from FS. We've had them before, off and on over the years, and the service has been excellent in addition to their low bid.
The past few years, it's just been like 2, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, why we had so many this year?
I don't know.
It's nice to see a key.
Yeah,
They were
What
just,
they didn't last year, right?
I don't think they
We were
did last year.
commenting that, yeah.
They have been actually absent. I don't know if we
Yeah.
have new people, but I appreciate Key stepping up, and
Yeah.
you're close.
I don't recall hearing about FS Growmark before. Is that a new name for New Century, or is it totally
I
different?
think it is
FS
the same
is-
thing. It's kind of like a Bondurant. They're kind of south and east of here, I believe, if you wanted to talk about where their main business is. But
What is the same as?
FS is, you got FS southeast, or
Right.
southwest of Nevada,
Mhm.
and which is kind of a leg off of Farm Bureau, as it's been explained to me over the years, but I don't know the connection particularly, but they do a good job. If you drive on Highway 65 going south and go through Collins, they took a dormant, abandoned gas station, and now they have a car troll there, 24 hours. Big addition to the community.
I just know we were with New Century last year, I think, and I just had never heard of Growmark before. I didn't know if they were the same or different organizations. I know FS is all
Yes,
part of the same network at least, but
yeah. People rebrand themselves, and
So there's a lot of renamed companies here on this list.
yeah. Key used to be Heart of Iowa, and I still write the checks that way. And they do cash them. HOIC, poop. I think administration's got this one right, you know, and
I'll move approval of the fuel bid for 2025-26 to FS Growmark.
Second.
motion and a second to accept FS Growmark's bid for gas and diesel in the 25-26 school year. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5.2. John, thank you for coming. You're going to be a big part of this next discussion. So I guess we're talking about central staff MacBook rotation. And what is the rotation period?
It's usually 4 years for staff laptops and Chromebooks, student Chromebooks.
All right.
This one, we pushed Central off a little bit, 1 year. They were supposed to get them last year, but they were holding off fine, and so we kind of pushed them off to work the money a little bit better for our budget. So we got 65 laptops that we're gonna order, and then 2 iMacs for the office staff. So we should get them in like 2-4 weeks, somewhere in there.
Who are the two office staff that get the IMAX?
Would be Vicky and Donita. One is the front iMac, and then there's one kind of back behind the cabinets there that Donita sits back there. It's kind of like the print operations for a lot of the staff over there.
You forgive me, I've never owned an Apple product in my life, so. Is an iMac still a laptop or is it a desktop?
Desktop. It looks like a monitor basically, but it's an all-in-one. And then the MacBook Airs are the laptops.
Thank you.
And this is a proposal from Apple themselves, or this is their responding to a solicitation from us?
It's through Apple directly. It allows us, so when we order through them, their order becomes a part of our system. So when we get those new laptops, they're already essentially set up for us. We just tell it our Wi-Fi and it goes out and gets all of our settings. So it's much quicker for us than if we went to like Best Buy and bought a 65 with one part of our system. So
Sorry.
when we get those new laptops, they're already, if we went to Best Buy, nothing would be set up, and then we don't have some of that tracking features that Apple gives us without going through a few more steps.
Is there a cost savings to go direct to the manufacturer? I don't know, this is their price.
It's their price wherever you go.
Okay,
It's quite a model.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to trust you, I'm not an Apple person, I'm like Joe, I am
You don't
not an
get
Apple
discounts with
person.
Apple.
No,
I'm an IBM guy.
unless it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, that's maybe the only times that you're gonna get a discount with them.
Well, in the out years, let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Your bids at Black Friday? What do you think?
Swap out staff laptops middle of the year. Be fantastic.
You'd be a trailblazer, I'm sure, as far as public school. You're innovative,
Probably
dude.
not.
Well, it looks painfully straightforward again, like our fuel bids.
I'll move approval of the MacBook rotation for central staff for 65 MacBook Airs and 2 iMacs in the amount of $59,633.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Apple refreshment of our schools' needs. There, what was that? Central, to the aforementioned amount. Any last questions of John? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5.3. Woodward Granger would like to join the Heart of Iowa.
Yeah, Woodward Granger's applied. They would like to join the conference about 13 months from now. This was vetted and approved by the AD group, and just last week it was approved unanimously by the executive committee, which is all of the high school principals. So the next step would be for everybody to take it to their school board.
Which are in the process of being done.
Yeah, the others will be taking theirs to the board
Yeah.
probably here in the next month or two.
I appreciate the fact they've done their homework. It's very straightforward. Interesting to see their growth pattern as opposed to what we look at. And the travel distances on miles, because everybody wonders, well, how far is it? How long does it take? And they did it for us.
Did you say, Dr. Gray, that it was unanimous on the principals and the ADs?
I didn't.
You didn't?
Christian told me it was unanimous on the principals. I don't think there was any opposition with the ADs, but Dustin didn't specifically say.
Typically happens is it just a majority vote or a certain percentage vote if the ADs are unanimous?
I believe so,
Okay.
but I haven't seen those bylaws for the conference
Yeah,
in a long time.
And similarly, this is taken to the school boards, what happens if the school board disagrees?
That would be a
I'd say-
majority. If a majority of
Okay.
the school boards pass it, then they would be in.
Not saying I have any problem with it, I'm just curious
Yeah.
about the procedure.
Yep.
I hate to admit this, I don't know what the admission price is for high school.
I have been looking at that too,
Wasn't it,
Leanne. What is our,
Currently, I don't recall.
Wasn't it $8 yet, or do we?
I'm not sure either.
yeah, because is that their price of 7 for high school, 5 for middle? Is that what they're telling us?
That's what
They're
they
new
said.
as of 25, 26 is what it says on the bottom here.
$6 for us.
6
for high school.
for high school, oh, okay.
I didn't think we had reached the $7 mark, but
Didn't we vote on that as a conference though? Wasn't
like
that?
2 years ago?
Yeah.
I thought we kind of leveled.
Right,
Yeah,
that's what I recall.
that's my recollection too.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Joe, you usually follow this around pretty closely.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I recall too. I thought everyone in the conference was uniform on
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but I can't say for sure.
Well, my one question then would be if they're coming in, I suspect. So the Veda folks should get prepared to pay those prices in 13 months?
I would assume that they would conform to the conference pricing,
Okay.
which
That will be.
probably will be
Yeah.
that. in 13 months.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we won't raise it, but, you know, it is what it is. Those reps aren't getting any cheaper.
Right.
I think we're lower than most of the conferences actually right now.
Mhm.
I
$6
think
doesn't
that
sound-
North Iowa might be $8.
We have pretty good traffic. We have got the teams with the success that we do a good gate. Dustin provided us with some numbers here late this winter, this spring, I guess, when it came up and looked good. I mean, it was interesting to see how they kind of took you into what they were doing as far as building out and how they're going to transition through their current and then new facilities.
Yeah, it looks like the miles that they put in their proposal here, in their request, reflect a trip from Nevada to Granger, not Woodward, so
Mhm.
they're,
Yeah.
because Woodward would be a little shorter than what's shown on there, I think.
do you know are there rumblings for any other schools?
Haven't heard of any. I know, I mean, there are other schools looking at different conferences, but I haven't heard of anybody else for the Heart of Iowa.
Certainly very centrally and conveniently located for them.
Yeah.
Yes. I appreciate their interest and look forward to their participation. Because we have played, at least in basketball, Woodward Granger on a non-conference basis, off and on over the years, so it's not an unusual experience.
Mhm.
Well, I'd make a motion to approve or endorse the application from Woodward Granger to join the Heart of Iowa Activities Conference per their formal request in our packet.
Second.
I have a motion and a second from the board to approve Woodward Granger's application to join the Heart of Iowa Conference starting in 26, 27.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Take you to the water. Do I gotta push you in? Opposed?
Did you say that?
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. 5.4 IASB policy edits per Senate laws. Doctor, you do a good job of keeping the board apprised. I think that you would be the guy to lead this one.
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. Senate File 418 removed gender identity as a protected class, so ISB is recommending that that be removed, or that the changes that you see on page 12 be amended in district policy to comply with Iowa code.
total removal of any of our policies was not required.
It wasn't recommended.
Some of the title of some of them may kind of lead me to believe that maybe there wouldn't be, at least one or two of the policies may not be required anymore, but I didn't look specifically at them. Or maybe not.
With adoption of these tonight, when do they go up on the website?
Hopefully by the end of the week, maybe.
Okay.
It's gotta be by July 1. So
Well,
we've got time.
We got time.
Policy changes don't require multiple readings.
Well, I did for one reading on this one because it's the law.
Yeah, there's no
I didn't
wiggle here
figure
for
there
us.
was a reason to. And we're only changing directly what the law's telling us to change. That's why I just did it as one reading, but that's up to the board.
If there's nothing we can change, there's no really reason to have more than one reading.
Yeah.
Do we have to formally waive a second?
You could, just so it's in the minutes.
If
Sounds like a motion.
if the board did pass this, waive a second reading and pass it tonight, and when the changes are finally made by you, Dr. Gray, would you be able to email those to the board so we can see what the specific changes are?
Yeah. Well, the specific changes are exactly what I have here. You'll have gender identity removed from the list of all the protected classes on each policy. And anywhere you see equity coordinator on our website, it'll say Title IX coordinator.
So it's as simple as removing two words from each policy, gender,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yep.
gender identity.
Yep.
Okay. I guess I don't need to see that then.
Yeah.
Seems like it should be more complicated than that, but
In years
Simpler is
past,
better.
they have been. We've had some messy verbiage.
well, I'll make a motion to approve the policy edits per Senate File 418 as summarized in our board packet and explained by Dr. Gray, and waive the second reading.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the ISB's policy edits per Senate File 418. And at this time, the board chooses to waive further review and move to final reading. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5.4, policy edit.
505.5, also thought this one could just be one reading because these tweaks are to get this policy in line with what you approved a few months ago for the high school course description book when you voted to add the half credit per semester for the Cub Connections time. So we've got to stagger that in so that those credits are reflected for each of the classes that are coming in next year.
Under the section with regarding the alternative program, the credits that are specified there, maybe I'm just reading this wrong, but the total credits don't, the required plus elective credits don't add up to the total credits. Is that a mistake or a?
No, because they shave off, you can see, I don't know why, this is how it was listed before. But if you look down at the electives, they have to have 7 to 10 elective credits. I didn't change that from what it was before, I just changed the number. That's how it was listed.
Well,
So
I
that,
don't think we're looking at the same thing. I'm looking further up. Like for the year 25, 26, it says 39 credits, 30 required and 21 elective. Those don't add up.
Are you saying that there's 21 elective that they can choose from, but they have to
I-
take 7 to 10?
I think so. Again, yeah, I didn't change that, that's how it's always been listed.
So of the 39 credits, 30 required, and then of the 9 additional credits, 21 are offered as electives.
That's what I'm understanding.
Up above it, it adds up nice and tidy. 53 credits, 32 required, 21 elective. That's to 53. So on down that list.
I can take this, I can double check this, I did have Christian proof it, but I mean, I can double check it if it's, let me look at something real quick.
It does also say on those, that second line of the electives, so this one is 21 to 24, and the alternative, if you scroll down a little bit, is 7 to 10. That might be the,
Yeah.
that's the big difference there.
Yep.
I think this one maybe refers to
Right.
the normal
those.
program, and
Mhm.
that refers to that. Yeah, even that doesn't. Yeah.
Is it possible you just kept the same electives, because they're the same in each year listed here for the alternative program, where they could have been like 39, 30 required, 9 elective. Maybe the elective credits got copied and in wrong on the alternative program. So it looks like they're exactly the same as the normal program.
Yeah, I can take this back and if you want to table it and get clarification for you.
and is it, do we need to, as a district, add in the requirement for the citizenship test into our board policy?
Well, it's law.
So is this where it would go? That if it's tabled and brought back
If
to
you
us?
tabled it, I can check on that as well.
We could do it at the same time.
Yeah.
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 I was a little bit surprised we haven't seen anything from ISBA. Was that bill signed already?
Last Friday?
It was.
I
Was it?
think I saw something on the news that it was.
Yeah, she had a lot of-
Friday.
Yeah, no, that was, I remember the picture in the Iowa Capital Dispatch or something like that. Yeah.
I can check on that as well.
Well, we have the summer, we're not under the gun on any.
Well, does this have to be done? No, we don't have this. This does not have the July 1st.
No, well, we've got time.
Good discussion. Anybody
I
wanna,
think also in that alternative program section, then, when the electives are highlighted down below where it says 7 to 10 currently, that doesn't seem to be right. It should be 9 to 12 if what is up here is correct. So maybe just
Yeah.
verify that that 7 to 10 is correct.
Will do.
Procedurally, do we need a motion to
Move
I'll
to
move to
table.
table.
table?
oh, there's an action item, so I suppose we do.
I'll move to table policy 505.5 graduation requirements until we get further input.
Second.
We have a motion to table our new graduation requirements, and we will be bringing that back at a subsequent meeting here with edits from administration. Any questions, or anybody want to clean up the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-6, new policy 50310.
This would be a first reading. It's a new mandatory policy, also to be compliant with the new law.
Is this something IASB suggested? I mean, the wordage?
Yeah.
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 Wordage.
Yeah. The language, excuse me.
Yeah, this
I will
is
savor that
straight
for the
from
rest of the year.
IASB.
I'm sure it's a word.
I think it's a word, you can look it up. Check the Scrabble.
The last paragraph of the policy, maybe I'm parsing words a little bit here, but just reading it for the first time, it seems open to interpretation to me in one area. Does this policy and potential disciplinary consequences apply to device use while not on school property? Or only when it's on school property? Or at a school-sponsored event? Because it kind of,
On school property and at school sponsored events.
this is while on school property, at school-sponsored events, or in a manner that may impact the educational environment. there's
So
been-
like on the bus ride to a softball game.
Well, yeah, I think that's,
School-sponsored.
that seems clear to me, but to me, it's just like a kid sitting at home on their personal device. We've all, heard examples in the media recently of things happening, Photoshop and such, and social media, that, we would all probably argue can be disruptive to the educational environment.
Sure.
And I'm not advocating one way or another, if I'm trying to figure out exactly what this policy says, I'm a little bit unclear whether or not my kid's sitting on the sofa at home on his personal device at 10 p.m. at night, if anything they can do is subject to this policy.
I think they would face disciplinary consequences if they were found to do such a thing anyway, right?
I don't know.
Do you feel like the bubble of that it may impact educational environment does not capture that?
It just seems a little vague and open to interpretation to me, but if it's clear to everybody else, then it's just a me thing, I guess. We've seen examples in the media recently of students using their devices to spread images that they've created, and the debate that follows whether or not that should be, if school policy should be applicable to that. And that's kind of the context I was reading this in, and it,
And more specifically, whether this is the policy that gives teeth to that, to the ability to punish people for that, or?
yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know what the intent was when it was written, or, again, it's kind of the comma or that, in my mind, makes it, kind of sets that off aside and makes it applicable to something that's not school-sponsored or not on school property. But again, that's just my interpretation. Others might, I understand, would probably be different than that.
I look at the last sentence, and it sounds like you have the latitude for administration evolution in regards to how they will address things.
Does IASB or their legal counsel offer any sort of explanation or answer any questions like this regarding, you know, clarification or interpretation of this?
If I can get a hold of the attorney, I can ask.
But if it's just me that it seems vague to, I'm not gonna
I get your point.
say
Joe,
anything, but if
but,
it seems vague to anyone else too, maybe we should,
I guess, what would you suggest? Are you suggesting that we make this policy be such that it gives teeth to us being able to do something in case of those events, or?
I'm not ready to say that.
Okay.
And that's not what I'm advocating for.
Yeah.
I just wanna know is that what this is saying?
Mhm.
I can likely find that out for you before second reading.
If I was a parent whose child was a victim of something like I described earlier, I might look at this and say, and interpret that as meaning, all right, we should have some school discipline there.
So in the privacy of a parent's home, the educational environment follows the child by use of their laptop, a school-provided laptop. Is that the connection to get from a school setting to a private setting?
Yeah, it would still be a school device.
So there's the hook.
Well, I don't think there's any vagueness about using a school device for those kind of things. I think we all understand and are on the same page with that. It's just personal device, personal time, in your own personal space. If it disrupts the learning environment, does this policy kick in?
Mhm.
I don't know. It seems unclear to me, but if it's clear to everyone else, then let's go.
Well, again, it's only a first reading, so it's not going to be, it's got to go through a second reading. So I will seek clarification from their attorney.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think we need to hear some additional input there.
And I'd be interested how it ties in with our like bullying and harassment policies. If that's,
Cyberbullying, yeah.
if that's captured in there
Right.
already.
Well, if the site, okay, well, if you're gonna pull that thread, let's pull a little more then. So if the cyberbullying is done on a private device, is that something that falls, is that germane to action on this?
That's exactly what I'm asking.
Yeah, it is.
And-
At some
and-
point,
and reading
the
this,
child gets to move out of the realm of school overlordish, or, help me there, overlord. I don't want that one.
I was thinking that the
You're on your own,
cyberbullying
Marty.
policy captures personal use. Like it doesn't matter where it's coming from if it's cyberbullying. It doesn't matter that it's on a school device or not. But I don't know that with certainty.
I'm not sure there's consensus with that anywhere.
Well,
given by
that's,
what we hear in
at
the
some
news.
point, you know, that's kind of big brotherly. That's good in there, Marty. The child has the right to be a private citizen, minor child nonetheless, but, you know, the school can't. I don't feel comfortable sitting there and saying anything the child's doing in an electronic medium is subject to if they're doing something obviously detrimental to the, you know, a fellow student or the district writ large or whatever, yeah, then I can see where, that's, you know, because we do code of conduct, you know. But at some point, it's just like, kids will be kids, and
Well, then it wouldn't be bullying or harassment at that level. You know, there's like a line for where,
you step over,
yeah.
yeah, you know.
The standard here is anything that may impact the educational environment.
Which
That's
would
really wide
include-
open.
They probably purposely do it that way, but it would include students feeling unsafe in the educational environment.
Mhm.
I think that's the argument though that some parents are making around the state when these incidents come up, is that It may not have happened in school time, it may not have happened on school property or with school devices, but it's still impacting the educational environment.
Mhm.
I
We
think
have-
that's
Yeah, we have things that.
that's the tipping area right there where really every district in the state is right now.
Mhm.
And I'm not clear whether or not that paragraph in that specific sentence tips it one way or the other.
I can't imagine that IASB is not going to be asked similar questions, because we're not the only person or the only district this is going to affect. So I would think they would have some additional guidance for us, hopefully.
I will follow up on that for you. Sure. When we look at second reading.
Other than that, I really didn't have any questions or anything. Again, I'm not a smartwatch owner or user, never had one or used one, but that one little loophole seems to open up a world of possibilities if I'm a kid. But I mean,
What do you mean by loophole? They're not allowed to use their Apple Watches?
the loophole is that they are allowed to use all that, to use the Apple Watches and smartwatches, which, like I said, I've never used one, never owned one, but you could do everything on one of those that you can do on your phone.
Where do you see that they are allowed to use Apple Watches?
It's here in the policy.
Paragraph 3.
I thought our buildings decided you can't.
Yeah.
When- Yeah.
Yeah, the law, you can be stricter in your district than the law.
Okay.
What you already approved for the buildings is more restrictive than this. This would be the overall umbrella. And IASB is saying, as does the law, that the district can be in their enforcement or regulation handbook policy can be more restrictive.
Okay. 8 years in, I think I shouldn't be confused about this, but there's an IASB policy set and a Nevada policy set, and they don't always agree.
No, IASB is giving you a blanket policy, an umbrella policy that meets the standard of the law. Then within your district, which the handbooks that you already approved are more restrictive than this.
Okay.
That's what we're getting at here.
So should this
This
be
is,
changed to match our handbook?
that doesn't necessarily have to, because our handbook is underneath of this umbrella policy.
Seems to me that they should agree, but maybe not.
I think they do agree.
Yeah. It's just,
Okay.
Well, I like the fact that we're not duty bound to what was decided down in Des Moines, and we have the ability to take it further. And to your concern, I watch how many times you have a conversation with somebody, and then all of a sudden they jerk their wrist up, and then you're just kind of sitting there waiting for them to take care of business. And I guess they would have to be something I'd want to see sidelined as well. And we did.
Okay. If I'm a parent whose kid gets in trouble for using a smartwatch, I'm pointing at this and saying we can.
But then your
That's all I'm
student
saying.
handbook says more specifically something else, so
Does the handbook trump the policy?
Yeah?
it does, yeah.
There's no bones, but whatever. If it's clear to everyone else, I understand. I might have a little
I'll pull that back up too, Joe, before second reading.
different thought process.
Nice deep dive. Curious to see what the motion is on this.
So,
Yeah. It's first reading.
right. We have to approve first reading? We don't, we can just.
We
take
kicked
it
the
back?
second.
Right.
Yeah, we've instructed administration to go.
No, I know that, but what do we have to do? What do we say about the first reading?
I think you can approve first reading, seeking clarification for second reading.
I'll move to approve the first reading of our new policy 503.10 and seek clarification on questions that arose during the what's that word I'm looking for here?
Discussion?
Discussion, thank you.
I'll second.
Jeez, I could have done that one.
I know, you didn't though.
Again. Do we have a second?
Yep. And
I did.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we are approving the first reading of our student use of personal electronic devices with directive administrative research for a little clarity on some of the wording in the 50310 state policy. Questions? Anything else you want to put on that one? Because I think we kind of, Steve's been doing a good job over here, kind of chasing that stuff down. I either see it in a board update or meeting or both.
Yeah.
Okay, that said, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Board goals.
Listed your current board goals on page 19. Just need to know if there's anything you want to change or if you want to move those forward.
I don't even remember the last time we changed anything.
Well, there've been a couple of minor tweaks over the last couple
Oh
of
yeah,
years.
you've had the launch,
Nothing
you've got some,
significant,
yeah.
Probably need to modify number 2, 4. 1, 2, Spadali, modify Ames Chamber of Commerce to the Alliance.
Oh, sure, yep.
So number 2, you've pretty much taken this on to yourself in regards to discussions with our community partners. And some of these things are brought to us as a finished product for board approval.
So are you suggesting that we reword it? That the board take a more active role?
Right there.
What are we, I'm confused, Marty. I'm not
We used
following.
to quarterly meet with the city. We do things with board consultation in the room as conversations are had. We don't do that anymore with any of those people. School, yes, because we're the school. But in regards to this, how many times that things all of a sudden are virtually taxiing down the runway and it's just like, hey, just looking for your approval on this. We talked about this. We think this is a good thing. We'd like to be a partner in this and see this done within the community or in behalf of something, and then we're chasing something. We're not leading something.
I agree, I think there's room for improvement there. You know, again, I can't remember the last time we had the city school committee meeting, but I know it's been a very long time. 1 year or perhaps 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it was just prior to bringing on the SRO, and I can't remember. It's been here 1 or 2 years.
This was year one.
So it's probably been a good year from that, since we had a city school committee meeting. And I know the city is considering some major changes to on-street parking currently, which came as a surprise to me, which could have
Well,
some impacts around our school campuses, for sure.
Well,
It would have been nice to maybe be involved in that a little bit when they were coming up
yeah.
with the new ordinance, rather than being presented their new ordinance.
Well, when the Veda schools traditionally, it was used the new addition, and it was parking. I mean, you know you're having a good turnout when you're parking on F Avenue to go to something. But clearly this is their domain, but it has a real lived effect on this district and how it performs and the patrons and the children.
Agreed. It's their domain, but I'm pretty sure our Main Street district was consulted before this was drafted, but I'm not sure that we were. That's just one example. I don't mean to deal with that.
No, but it
specific
really,
thing
it's
right now.
something that's close to home, in the sense that, because when, was it 20, 25, 30 years ago when they repaved the streets in the new addition, they shrank them?
Sure did.
Short-sightedness.
And I believe there was another incident last week where emergency vehicles couldn't get down. I don't have the whole scoop on that, but from what I've heard, it sounds like it.
I remember talking to Walt McDonald about it, and the costing on going to that which was proposed was substantial, and they just, but here we live in the out years where you have additional traffic.
I mean, clearly the most glaring example is parking around the softball field. There's just not off-street parking there. And
Yeah, there was a very good crowd Friday night, and I tell you what, it was just Greene County, not somebody that travels greatly, but it was, I got my steps in Friday night.
yeah, well, and it's just not varsity games. It's every day with practice. This morning it was middle school games, I think. But it's only 2 months out of the year, too.
Well, look what football does.
Anyway, got a little off track there, but
So I'm not necessarily encouraging more meetings, but could this be, maybe not necessarily this language amended, but the way we implement it changed, that we, as a entity through you, Steve, instigate invitations,
Quarterly,
yeah,
quarterly.
to like, of all of us together, the school, the city, Main Street, and EDC? Or pick a quarter for NEDC or quarter
Yeah,
for,
I think our collaboration with NEDC is that we have someone sitting on that board, which is me for the district.
Mhm.
Same with Main Street, that we are collaborative or partners. We have somebody sitting on their board, which I do. That's me. I don't know if I learn things through those board things, I share it with this board if I think it's relevant.
or if you can, because there are some
If I can,
confidential things.
yeah, the NEDC, certainly there are some, we have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, so to speak. on some things, but I'm not, I don't know how much value there would be for
Yeah.
board in EDC or board Main Street.
Well, as a,
Certainly
even as I
getting the
was saying
city,
that,
if we get back to a quarterly type meeting, I think part of that is when we've had items to discuss, we've scheduled them as needed. But we haven't always had that, right? So the other part of it is whether it's an EDC, the Beta Foundation Board, Main Street Board. Obviously Brett's not the mayor now, but Jordan, Brett, and I are on all of those together. So when there are minor things that we need to discuss, we see each other all the time. So that may have maybe created a little bit less need for a quarterly city school meeting if there were smaller issues. But I think we can certainly get back to at least a quarterly meeting.
Main Street, NEDC meetings, are there minutes kept and made public? I know city is, and we are.
Yeah, I don't know. Certainly there are minutes. Again, NEDC board members have to sign off on some confidentiality type issues, so I don't know. It would probably depend on what's in the minutes.
I think anything that you brought out of there, you had the ability to bring out, and it involved the Beta as a whole, or the school in particular. You know, you're not just shopping any new, so. We've
We
evolved.
Sorry.
No,
can
no,
we
no,
just
go ahead and
rewrite
beat
it?
me.
Support ongoing collaboration and actively engage with community partners.
How about we say the board will do that? You know, board participation, give me some verbiage to reflect that.
I think what we were originally listed there was just, these are examples of community collaboration. These are the types of groups that we want our district to collaborate with.
And we do. But I would feel better served than 3 people sitting down and making community-wide decisions. Trust you.
I don't think that's happening either, but
Well, your bike path showed up without, you know, you had things happen. I mean, I don't remember the discussion when it came down to the fact that they laned out the on-street parking on 15th Street. That just happened. I mean, talking about things that, you know, are school related. And I don't pretend to have all the particulars in my head, or did I pay attention at the time? It's just like, oh, that's what we're doing. The change in the speed limits by the school, the stop signs. And there's just a lot of things that happen, you may be privy to, that really kind of fall into our school's world.
Yeah, and I hear the city's considering more changes to the safety of pedestrians and traffic around the school campuses and the school zones. But I don't know that we're a part of that conversation. I mean, the board certainly isn't, but it just seems like there were things maybe that happened to us here in the school district that were not, really do not qualify as collaboration. They're more information, like here's our new parking policy. You know, here's what we're gonna do for pedestrian safety. You know, I mean, like you said, there are numerous examples that kind of happen that were maybe it seems like we're not treated as an equal collaborator, and we're just kind of a,
It's a bullet item.
Constituent?
It's an action item on the board agenda. If it involves us to that level.
what is?
Just saying, is just saying that some things just, you're chasing it out of the room. You're not doing anything wrong, you're not doing anything bad. And this is probably not the portion of the meeting we need to have this discussion. All I would like to see is that which was be done again. Because if you, if you're in your what, 11th year? 12th. That which is today was not the case because of the different personnel involved.
There are more entities involved, and things are changing faster in this town than they were.
Can we just add a subsection number 1? I'm not even thinking quarterly, just
Under
under
point two.
number, under point 2. Just the school district will invite, or we'll schedule a meeting with the city, however it's wordsmithed, twice a year. So we're initiating that meeting,
Sure.
That, or,
the school board, yeah.
I might offer just simplifying it, say supporting ongoing collaboration and information sharing with community partners. I don't know if that does anything to improve it or not. What Leanne said is,
One of the
it's more
things-
specifically to the point.
One of the things that's always been spoken to is the fact that, and I don't know if it's happened, because I haven't always been on the board, but the board be with council in open session for the community.
Okay.
We have venues, I mean, clearly this would be a great venue if you're gonna do a community. Not like I'm inviting a bunch of hostility
Like a
in
joint
that we
work
don't have.
session?
Yeah. I mean, clearly, we're in the room with a lot of people, and we're in the same community with,
I can, if you would like to table this, I can make the suggested edits and bring it back to you on the 16th. And see if I captured your comments as intended.
I'll make a motion to table the board goals for 2025-26.
Second,
motion and a second, 5.7 to table for a future meeting, board goals for the 25-26 school year. Last thoughts? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda. Thank you for being, Tammy,
What's that?
putting all that in board member comments, because once she was prompted, we had quite the discussion. And
Oh,
It was a good
yeah.
discussion, yeah.
yeah, it's nice to see that. You did when we had BizTown, we hosted them, you put things in there that really represent the meetings. We don't try to put little snippets. It's not Cliff Notes, it's board meetings. And people might have desire, if they're looking at it, to find out a little bit more than a sentence or two, and you have taken to doing that, and I appreciate that.
I agree. That was a good touch to the minutes.
Well, yeah, I mean, it gives it content and breadth of, because we do. I mean, here we are, an hour into a meeting. There's, you can bullet point it up to the point it's just like, well, we talked about a lot of things and kicked some stuff back, and we'll bring it back to ourselves, but how many people are online watching us still?
3,
I see.
of which I am one.
Are you one?
Mhm.
near the top of the bills, I see
Page,
first page of the bills,
page 24.
24.
Yeah.
I see a bill from a payment to Coldwater Golf Links for course and range access. Is that where our golf teams practiced this year?
Majority of the time, they jumped around, but they were there quite a bit. And at least the varsity were.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, that with Indian Creek closed, that they would need to find an alternate place.
Yeah.
I assume the plan is to go back to Indian Creek when it's done, but maybe that's too early to.
I think that's the hope.
Collaboration.
We hope that will continue in the future.
That's a nice experience. I mean, born out of necessity, but still a nice experience to learn maybe some different skills than you would by golfing on the same old course every year, every day.
You have gentlemen older than myself have foursomes that make it a point to travel the central Iowa area to play some of your quiet backwater courses, and they hear them talk about it. It's kind of interesting because everything has its own positives and there's always negatives, but to hear somebody that spends the time not staying on one course, it's interesting. Their observations are much like what you said, Joe. Get a chance to see some new, it actually helps their game. And there you are in the meeting, or the minutes on 25, a little under halfway mark of New Century FS for fuel. So, obviously, they have several business identities.
All the P cards were, so we used to enter them as journal entries, and they didn't come up in the original bill listing, so that's why I've added them in there. I'm just going back and trying to do some cleanup and making sure everything gets put in there. Going forward, we've changed that. Barb's gonna now enter them under the vendor, which is BMO. So you'll see a line that says BMO and the total payment, but I'll still submit the breakdown so you can see everything.
How can anybody go to Olive Garden and only spend $11?
Oh, you can eat breadsticks.
Yeah, no soup, just breadsticks. I am so looking forward to that coming to Ames.
There's an abbreviation that was used repeatedly in the P-card report that I was curious about. I'm trying to find it right now. That's a long more. Yeah, they can't find it now. TST.
TST. Do you have a specific example of what
TS,
page you're on?
page 33, third one from the top. But there are many of them that have the TST
TST.
Well, if you want to go to an AD meeting, Jethro's is a place to be.
on. There's some examples near the bottom of the previous page too, 32. I was just curious what it meant. They seem to be related to meals, maybe?
I'm not real sure off the top of my head, but I can hunt that down for you, Joe. TST, yeah. It's all when eaten somewhere, it looks like.
Just look like a different. Here. Followed by here.
Same number.
Because you're here.
Yeah,
Here.
it's the same number.
Yeah.
So. It does.
What's that one?
Page 52, looks like there's a duplicate entry for 1779.
Vanessa's over it,
Third of the
so-
way down.
Yeah. At Jethro's.
Page 52.
Yes. Upper third.
$17.79. I would have to pull it to see if maybe she paid for somebody else's as well.
Those are probably, those are different numbers though, so it's probably different buildings for the Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Zoom will have. That's
It's just the identifier just tells you where it was at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nisi or Leanne or anybody? A lot of personnel stuff. So tell me, Doctor, on this educational support personnel salary supplement is provided by the state, divisible 14 million, and we got a little over 40,000. Explain, educational support personnel who are eligible for supplemental pay are regular and part-time employees of the district who are not salaried or hourly employees. Employees that are eligible for the supplemental pay will receive payment on their June 20th, 25 paycheck. So that really just is a cohort of employees that's divisible. The 40,000 is divisible into them.
Correct.
Yes, yeah, so we received that
Long way
one.
to ask an easy question, I know, but
What's that?
that was a long way to ask an easy question.
So yeah, we'll take, it's all the hourly staff, bus drivers, everyone like
Mhm.
that. And I'll take the people that are part-time, the employees that are part-time, I'll take them off first. And then all the full-time, I'll divide that by the remainder of the 40,273.
So how many of our employees would they be would qualify for this?
Well, I just did a quick estimate the other day and it was like right around 91 employees,
Well, this is
which
gonna be
equaled to
nice.
be about $400 and some dollars, roughly.
There you go.
For
It-
just a
State's
quick-
never done this before, have they?
But they approved it last year. This is the first year, and now
Okay.
they're doing it again for next year. It just got
Oh, okay.
out of this session.
Well, that's a nice thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
So in Nevada, part-time and full-time employees will get it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Let's, do you have a note? Never mind.
What's that?
I just was gonna ask if you happen to know what the distribution, the appropriation was for next year, or this current.
I don't yet. But I can let you guys know as soon as we hear.
Of our portion, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
It should be coming out like the end of June.
I think the state approved the same number that they did last year. Now, whether or not that equals out to the same number for us, I don't know.
I know last year,
But it's close.
Brian had to submit information for it. So I don't know if that's what's gonna happen again this year, or if we're just gonna base it off of last year's. So that TST looks like it pulls through on our BMO report, the P-card report, and it's under the vendor where we're making the purchase at. So I don't know if it has something to do with a restaurant or something like that, but I'll email them and find out what all that means. Because it does look like it's on the majority of the restaurants.
No, not necessary for my benefit, I was just curious.
It is
What
a
do you think?
curious question though.
Move approval of the consent agenda?
No second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as placed before us tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7.1, board member comments.
Just a comment, I guess, in general, we had a pretty good success in our spring sports.
Yes, we did.
Including some individuals that had some very outstanding with Connor Kunze and Parker Rogers. Those were pretty impressive performances by both of those. And girls soccer is 13 years in a row for state now.
And girls golf as well.
And girls golf, yeah, so impressive.
We hang
stuff.
flags.
Yep.
That was one of the things, when you go to graduation or go to an event, it just seems like there is more flags than there was last time I was here.
It's a good problem.
That's a very good problem.
Yep.
You go to some of these athletic, really rich school districts, like a Dowling or something like that, it's almost like you have to add to the gym.
So, it was
So we're
very,
chasing-
very well done.
We're chasing them, and we're doing things right.
Yep.
Good crowd at the girls' softball game. Friday night didn't turn out the way we wanted, but we had great weather and no mosquitoes, which is so un-Nevada.
Yeah.
I don't know if the city's doing something or not, but I really appreciate when they spray. We do. Well, if that's the case, nobody's got anything they'd like to say, Leanne, are you holding back on us?
No.
Amazing. Let the moment pass. Done. Okay, our next meeting will be on June 16th, here in the conference room. So looking forward, everybody gonna be able to be here? Anybody traveling, anybody got anything? I guess we'll do some revisits on some of the stuff we kicked out, so it'll look familiar. Appreciate what you're gonna do on the legwork between this night and that night. Then we bounce into July, we have one meeting
When is the July meeting? I should look at that.
here.
We switched it to the 7th, I think.
Yeah, I may not be here for that July 7th meeting,
Okay.
so just a heads up.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's what, if we talk about it now,
Yeah.
kind of get a snap
I
count.
just remembered that from the last meeting I saw that date.
Okay. Fine. Well, that brings us to our closed session portion of the meeting. And we need to be read in, and we need to,
Looks like Leanne's ready to read it.
Yeah. Move we
are
go
we
to
going
closed
on
session.
one?
Yes, pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21, subsection 5, 1I, to evaluate the professional competency An individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and that individual requests a closed session.
Roll call.
Roll call, Amisi,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Leanne,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Marty.
Aye.
All right.